Alex is 29 years old. He has a college degree, a full-time job, a LinkedIn profile that says he's a marketing professional. He makes $52,000 a year, which is more than his parents made at his age, adjusted for nothing, of course. He cannot afford to move out, not because he's irresponsible, not because he eats too much avocado toast, that joke is older than his career, but because the math of his life in this economy, in this decade, simply does not add up the way it was supposed to. And here's the part that should bother you. He did everything right, studied hard, got the degree, got the job, followed the script, and the script lied. Not dramatically, not obviously, just quietly, systematically. Over about 30 years, the economy restructured itself in a way that made the old rules functionally useless for anyone born after 1985. This isn't a generational complaint. This isn't millennials crying about boomers or Gen Z posting about it on TikTok. This is a structural problem, and structural problems don't care about your feelings or your work ethic or how many side hustles you're running. Here's what changed and when. From roughly the 1950s through the early 1980s, the American and broadly Western economy operated on a particular set of mechanics. Wages grew in proportion to productivity. Housing was affordable relative to income. A single earner could support a family. A college degree reliably led to a stable career. Pension systems meant that if you worked for 30 years, your retirement was largely handled. That system started unwinding around 1980, and by the time Alex was born, most of it was already gone. The deal changed. Nobody sent a memo. Stay with this, because the gap between what that old system promised and what this new one actually delivers, that gap is the entire reason a generation of educated, employed, non-lazy people feel like they're running in place. Let's talk about wages first, because this is where the illusion lives. Since 1979, worker productivity in the United States has increased by over 60%, meaning the average worker today generates dramatically more economic value per hour than their parents did. Wages over that same period grew by about 18%. 60% more output, 18% more pay. The rest went somewhere. It went up, to corporate profits, to shareholder returns, to the top 1% of earners, whose income over that same period grew by over 150%. Alex is working harder in a more productive economy and taking home a smaller share of what he produces than his parents did. And he has no way of feeling that directly, because wages feel normal when that's all you've ever known. Now layer housing on top of that. In 1980, the median home price in America was roughly 3 times the median household income. That's the historic benchmark, 3 times your annual income for a house. Uncomfortable, but manageable. Today, that ratio is closer to 7 or 8 times in most metro areas. In cities like Los Angeles, New York, or Seattle, where young people move for jobs, it's 10, 12, sometimes 15 times income. Alex earns $52,000. An entry-level home in his city costs $380,000. He needs a 20% down payment to avoid private mortgage insurance. That's $76,000, saved after taxes, after rent, after student loans, after the basic cost of existing. At his current savings rate, that down payment is about 11 years away. He'll be 40 before he buys a starter home, if nothing else goes wrong. Now let's talk about the debt that arrived just in time to make all of this worse. Total student loan debt in the United States crossed $1.7 trillion. That number is almost too large to feel real, so let's make it personal. The average student loan borrower carries around $37,000 in debt. At a standard repayment plan, that's roughly $400 a month for 10 years. $400 a month that cannot go toward a down payment, cannot go into a retirement account, cannot go toward anything except the cost of having gotten the education that was supposed to make everything easier. And here's the quiet absurdity buried in this system. Boomers were told to get a degree. Degrees led to jobs and stability, so they pushed their kids to get degrees. But the cost of those degrees went up by over 180% between 1980 and 2020, 3 times faster than general inflation. The product got more expensive, the return on that product got less reliable, and an entire generation borrowed the difference. Alex has $34,000 in student loans. He's paying them faithfully. His credit score is fine. He's doing everything correctly inside a system that was quietly recalibrated against him before he ever entered it. That's not a personal failure. That's an economic condition. And here's where it gets structurally strange, because the wealth gap between generations isn't just about income or housing or debt. There's a mechanism underneath all of this that most people haven't fully named yet: asset inflation. In the last 4 decades, the price of assets, homes, stocks, bonds, investment portfolios has grown far faster than wages, which means that people who already owned assets got significantly richer, and people who didn't own assets, who were too young, too indebted, too locked out of the entry price, watched the gap widen from the outside. The S&P 500 in 1990 sat around 350 points. Today, it's above 5,000. If you owned stocks in 1990, that wealth multiplied. If you were born in 1990, you're still trying to find $50 a month to put into an index fund after paying rent, debt.
This is the core mechanic. Wealth generates more wealth. And the starting point for that compounding was handed to boomers by accident of timing, by being born into an era when assets were cheap, wages were proportionate, and the barriers to entry were low. Gen Z and Millennials didn't get that starting point, and the people who did get it have very little structural incentive to lower the barriers that protect their gains. It's not malice, it's just how asset ownership works when you're on the outside of it. Alex knows this, vaguely. He feels it more than he can articulate it, like something is off, like the math should be adding up, but it doesn't. Like he's playing a game where the rules were written before he arrived and nobody bothered to update them. Here's what the content machine will tell Alex. Invest in yourself, build multiple income streams, start a business, rent out a room, drive for an app, flip things on eBay, hustle your way out. And some of that works for some people in some circumstances, but here's the thing nobody wants to say plainly. Hustle culture is a coping mechanism dressed up as a solution. It addresses the symptom, not enough money coming in, without touching the cause, which is that the economic system redistributes the gains of labor away from the people doing the labor. You cannot side hustle your way out of a structural problem, not at scale, not as a generation. The other thing the financial optimism industry sells is the stock market. Just invest early, consistently, and trust the compounding. And that's genuinely good advice for the 50% of Americans who have any disposable income left to invest after rent, debt payments, childcare, and groceries that cost 30% more than they did 3 years ago. For Alex, saving $200 a month feels like an achievement, not a starting line. Here's the larger picture. Millennial and Gen Z households currently hold about 9% of total U.S. wealth. Baby boomers at the same age held closer to 21%. That gap doesn't just affect individuals, it affects the economy as a whole. Consumer spending slows, family formation delays, birth rates drop, civic investment contracts. A generation that cannot build wealth cannot build the economic foundation that the next generation stands on, and the generation after that inherits something structurally weaker than what came before. This isn't just Alex's problem, it's a slow compressing of economic mobility that happens quietly over decades until one day someone runs the numbers and realizes the ladder has fewer rungs than it used to. Alex is still working, still saving his $200 a month, still doing the math that doesn't quite work. still waiting for the moment when effort and outcome start matching the way they were supposed to. And here's the question that doesn't have a clean answer. If the system was redesigned, deliberately or not, who exactly is supposed to redesign it back? If you felt this in your own numbers, drop it in the comments. What's the thing in your budget that just doesn't add up no matter what you do? Let's see what's actually universal here. And if someone you know is feeling financially stuck and can't figure out why, share this with them. Sometimes the most useful thing isn't advice, it's just someone finally naming the